Hi, this is Eric from Hitbox Gaming, and let's talk about why roguelike games are addicting. Roguelike games are known for their procedurally generated levels and permanent death system. For the past few years, the roguelike genre is becoming more and more popular. As a matter of fact, there are over 500 roguelike games in the Steam store alone, and most of them are captivating. If you have never played a roguelike game before, now is the best time to start. But if you have delved into this genre before, feel free to leave a comment and tell us what your favorite roguelike game is. Anyway, let me sum up the points on why am I addicted to it. One of the reasons why roguelike game is a beloved genre is because of its fast-paced gameplay. While other genres provide you with a whole backstory or introduction that takes up about an hour before diving into the gameplay, roguelike games tend to start quickly. Booting up the game then starting a new game is fast and does not require you to read a lot of text, which is great, especially if you just want to play a game and not to spend hours and hours of reading. But in spite of that, many roguelike games have a heavy story and rich lore injected into it. Take Binding of Isaac for example. At first it looks very simple. You walk and shoot in four directions while fighting monsters. But Binding of Isaac fans knows that it's more than that, for the story is filled with dark comedy and a plot based on a biblical story. A lot of roguelike games include amazing lore, like Darkest Dungeon, Into the Breach, and many more. This genre is a perfect example that good narrative does not require to be boring and slow. In roguelike games, permadeath is a very common rule. Once you die, you need to start all over again. I'm not gonna lie, I did not find that appealing hearing that myself for the first time. But after trying one, I was wrong. The permanent death system is a great addition to the game. The permanent death system means that you're supposed to be careful than being risky. But roguelike games forces you to take risks in order to proceed, by having you clear out floors and making the only option is to keep going deeper, even though you know that the next floor or stage is going to be more difficult than the last. Some games also offer huge rewards in exchange for fighting a horde of enemies or powerful bosses, putting your life in the line for something special. It's these consequences that brings meaning to the entire roguelike experience. The feeling of doing your best to prevent losing everything is somehow addicting. Permanent death seems like an extreme punishment towards the player, but if you're going to understand it carefully, dying isn't a punishment but an opportunity to learn something new to overcome the next run. The best aspect of any roguelike games is that they don't feel repetitive at all. There's always an element of surprise waiting for you. Thanks to the procedurally generated levels that roguelike games have, every run feels a little bit different. Every roguelike game has a different way of putting surprises into it. New abilities or items, new areas to explore, new weapons to equip, new characters or classes to use, and new enemies to fight. Like in Dead Cells, it has secret rooms and hidden passages that you can find, and there are over 90 weapons and skills like spears, swords, bows, freeze blast, and many more. Every run will surprise you with something new. Whatever it is, a good roguelike game makes sure that the players will remain entertained by putting surprises in it. Most of the time you spend playing a roguelike game gives you a challenging experience. For me, this is the main reason why I love roguelike games. I just love difficult games that will force me to get better every time I play it. I still remember playing Darkest Dungeon for the first time. My characters always die. Sure, it was frustrating from time to time, but that became a reason why I want to play it over and over again. I got attached to the game because it is challenging. Because in the end, challenges provide me with a way to test myself and my limits. And roguelike games are the best genre for it. I think the simplest answer as to why I love roguelike games is that they're just rewarding. The sense of reward that comes from finally beating something that seems impossible at first is wonderful. I know that some roguelike games require you to play for over 30 to 40 tries before reaching the end, but when you finally finish it, it's just so worth it. And it's because the victory was earned after so many failures. Heavy roguelike elements ensure you'll never play the same game twice. Adding many different bits to unlock, putting 100 hours into a roguelike game is very easy. Within this particular genre, there's a lot of variation between games and each game has a unique reason why most of them have high replay value. For instance, in Slay the Spire, the game has 4 characters that you can use and each one of them has different skill cards variations to unlock. While in Hades, it has an overall 24 weapon variations to unlock and countless of new dialogues you can encounter every run. And it will take numerous of hours before you can see all of them. But at the end, the replay value of a game is based entirely on the player's taste. But for me, roguelike games never fail to amuse me. Sure, I commit rage quit sometimes, but I always come back and get better eventually. And that's all the reasons why roguelike games are addicting. For me, anyways. If you want to see more discussions about video games, don't forget to subscribe. Take care, guys.